Hello, my name is Travis Vickerson, and today we're going to talk about the ground crew in relation to crane operations from TCIA's Tree Care Academy, Crane Operations Specialist. The ground crew is obviously an important aspect of tree care because as a crane operator, you really wouldn't want to get out of the cab every time to unsling the piece. As a climber, you can't get out of the tree every single time to unsling the piece. So you got to have somebody on the ground to receive the piece that you've cut free. This is a very key position. It takes constant communication and good hand signals. A lot of times in crane work, you have larger operating crews. Sometimes you'll have, could have as many as 5 or 6 people operating on a job site with a crane. My recommendation for there is if you're running the Bluetooth communication systems, divide them into 2 channels. Have your operator, your climber, and your number 1 ground person or your head ground person on one communication channel, and then have everybody else on another communication channel. That way you prevent a lot of the idle chatter, a lot of the background noise, and keep the communication consistent and clear. Obviously, you have hand signals. The nice thing about tree care industry is if I'm the cutter over here and my landing zone's over here, my operator knows where they're taking the material from. So I, generally speaking, don't have to communicate the swing all the way around to where it's going because my operator knows where the landing zone's going to be. So that just allows them to be able to do that a little easier. You can pass it off to them. So if I have it cut, it's free, clear. All right, free and clear to the LZ. That tells my operator, hey, I'm done with you. You can go ahead and swing it and put it down where you need to put it. And the ground person over there can give you the control as far as boom up, boom down, cable up, cable down. The big thing is the excuse me. The big thing is our operation range. So when you're making picks, there's a lot of times we don't think about our operating area from a ground person perspective. But the operational area for our pick is anywhere that's going to be inside the drip line in relation to where we're making the pick. So if we're picking the top of a tree out, we don't want anybody underneath that top. Not just underneath the base of the top, but all the branches sticking out. That's the operational area. We don't want people walking underneath pieces. We don't want the operator swinging pieces above people. You want to wait until the piece gets to about chest level. And at that point, then you can manipulate the piece. If you need to manipulate a piece before it gets to ground level, you can use a pole saw, you can use a throw line, get a line in it, move it that way. But you really don't want to stand down there and do that whole reaching up, grabbing thing. Wait till the piece gets to chest level and then manipulate it there. It just prevents you from being under the load, which is an OSHA violation. Also prevents you from getting hit with dead wood, struck bys, and those kind of things from falling out from a tree, being hosted much further above you than right at ground level. You don't ever want to be operating underneath a load, whether it be rigging or in crane work. So this piece here we've brought to the ground level, all right, and it's got a little piece stick on the bottom. When we set this piece down as a ground worker, you really want to be cognitive of where you're going to be at, because as this piece comes down, it's going to roll one way or the other. So obviously, maintaining which way it's going to roll helps you. If you look at your sling placement, your slings are always going to try to orient themselves to the vertical position. So this piece is coming down this way. Your sling is now, you can see how the piece starts to move and rotate off. If we come back in from the other direction and start setting the piece down, hold on a second. It's going to sit itself down a little bit nicer, a little bit easier. All right. The piece isn't going to try to find that plumb position. So just know that when you're paying attention to your slings coming down, if it's on the uphill side, it's going to be okay. But if it comes down the other direction and lands more in this position, you have more potential here with the sling being bent back this way. You could catch branches, other material, and this piece could move around and become unstable. Always make sure also once your slings are detached that you detach them by hand. A lot of times I've seen operators pull slings out from pieces. The problem with that is if the piece is sitting over here and I'm using an operator to pull it out, I'm creating that load this way. If this sling is free and clear but stuck underneath a branch or under a log, now this piece swings and you have potential to hit people or hit property. So you really want to make sure to pull the slings out by hand whenever possible and then have them hang below the crane in a plumb position before the crane boom or hoist up. Just a little trick for preventing damage to the crane, damage to property. Thank you for tuning in for this module. Hopefully you got a lot of information out of it and can utilize this information to help you complete the Tree Care Academy Crane Operations Specialist book.